Alright, all welcome back to the Arcanaverse. Hope you have an amazing Friday. Joining with me again, surprising comeback, Steelstar. Thank you so much for joining me, my friend. Super excited to have you back on after the big reveal that we've got a Globe of Slime secret hunt to follow the new expansion. I was not expecting it, but man, thank you so much, and thank you for joining me back on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Lack of sleep would be the word to describe. DDO has struck that chord that I was hoping it would do now for a couple years. After the crash, after the Vecta secret, you can watch the previous video where we talked about the step secret. That was like the last high I had, and I've never been back since. And I'm like, all right, kind of chilling. Then a couple expansions come out. They were decent, but like, just cool, chill, pun intended, with Chill and Ravenloft, right? And then Demogorgon comes out. It's another based off an official mod, right? So super, like, that was the only like official campaign or official D&D campaign I've run,
Cool.
like from start to finish. So that's the only one I've ever done. So I was super excited for that just to begin with. And then lo and behold, I start getting messages Wednesday night after the expansions drop. It's like, oh, there's this little black globe of slime everybody's talking about. I'm like, all right, we're in it. It was day after day, 11-hour streams, whatever, searching for this thing. So, I guess first question, man, was this planned from the beginning? Did, because it's, some of the stuff is really cool. I imagine it took you a while to put together. Walk us through how SSG decided to put this into the game, man.
So this kind of came about after our last interview, so very late in the process. And it was a couple of factors. One, just the fact that I had so much fun talking about the secret hunts of the past in our last interview. Two, having more hands this time around on the system's end than the last couple X-Packs meant there was a little more wiggle room in the schedule. And three, I had asked for this kind of jelly shader for weapons for the raid, and then got told, yeah, we put it together, and then we just made a copy of every weapon with that shader for you. And I was like, well, okay, now I have a whole weapon suite that doesn't have a plan. I can probably work with that and start putting together some way to get it.
That graphic is wild, because if you haven't seen it, your whole weapon gets encased in this crazy ooze graphic that is just, it is striking. I love it personally. It's definitely my color scheme too, so I'm a bit biased, so I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised. It's like last minute, a whole weapon suite. That's crazy. So like, how?
Yeah.
You said that they gave you a shader, like, because there's
So in putting together weapon suites, they do have to model out the 3D assets and then do the textures. In this case, it started with kind of the VFX application, and once that was done, it was pretty easy for them to just put it onto a set of existing weapons, and they would look really cool. They would get that kind of muted core and that kind of jelly bubble over the whole thing. So once they had it for one, it was pretty easy to carry it over for the rest of them. And then once we decided we were really actually going to move forward with a full weapon suite, they did some work to make the cool cores that you see that kind of have decaying holes in them. But overall, it was pretty fast for putting together a whole weapon suite.
Yeah, that's some crazy automation, because I imagine back in the day that technology, like the weapon auras were always kind of wrapped around the weapon in an extent, to an extent, right? But like, I always assumed that it was like you had to shape each one individually, to like match whatever crazy shape you want to do. But yeah, I guess that makes sense to have some way to like auto wrap around the weapon due to like all the different shapes that we have now.
So our team did a very good job on that.
The graphics team has been raising their game every piece of content they put out for as long as I can remember, which is impressive to say the least. So huge shout out to them. I'd love to have
Definitely.
them on the show one day just to get to pick their brain about their process, because I'm sure that is all sorts of interesting.
That'd be really fun. I'm sure there's some of them that would love to.
So spinning us back towards the actual Globe of Secrets, man.
Yeah.
So you have the whole weapon suite. So like, did the riddle come after, I guess? Like what, like how did I have so many questions around the lore, so I don't know.
Okay. So going kind of to the start of the process of making this, I framed it out where I knew I wanted to send people to old content to look for things.
Huge win.
I knew I wanted it to be a process that wasn't immediately obvious what you needed to do at each step. And I knew I wanted the first couple steps to be kind of obvious that there is something here that you're looking for.
Yeah, that was awesome. Good choice.
So kind of the two immediate first pieces were the Black Globe of Slime and the Fetid Cauldron, which is just hanging out in the public space.
Yeah. Like, what the heck is this thing?
Yeah. And it wasn't on Lamania, so I figured it would be like, it would kind of stick out like a sore thumb in a good way. Because, you know, we got the weapons traders in there and they're like, yeah, you talk to them and you can be like, what is this? And they'll just tell you, we don't know, but it's very interesting. And I went for the Stone of Change interface on it. So it wouldn't be immediately apparent what you needed to do. You know, we had this old Stone of Change crafting window for players who might not have used it that much, where you very much throw in a few things, hit the craft button and hope it does something. And it doesn't tell you what you're doing, and it kind of doesn't even tell you what can really go in there. So I liked that as a starting point because it would get people talking about what is this, what can we do with it?
And absolute home run. I personally really appreciated bringing back that Stone of Change mechanic, because you only see that in a few different spots in the game, and it's always a big mystery around what can we do, and it's a lot of trial and error. But you know, eventually somebody gets it right, but like still, it's always that mystery. Yeah. It's a great way to hide things. So kudos there, my guy.
Thank you.
And then, so for like the riddle itself, like I mean, some of them were really on point. We'll talk about the Underdark later, because that was a whole harrowing episode. that was amazing and awful and lovely. You know, it's a love-hate thing, right?
Yeah.
But so what struck you? How'd you get there with the riddle, man?
So I knew that the first real clue I was going to give was going to be on one of the ingredients you needed to do something with, and to put in a place where most people would kind of trip over it naturally. So the saga seemed like a good place to put it, especially as I was finishing up the saga at that time, right before release. And from there, I knew the rest I wanted to be in places where you fought oozes and slimes. And so I kind of compiled a whole bunch of those together, and then kind of formed the riddle from there, as I thought of like putting this whole poem that was in the flavor text of the Black Globe of Slime together, trying to think of verses that sounded good with it and then had a connection to one of the locations on my list. So from there, it kind of flowed pretty well as I thought of things that rhymed and went, oh, this could connect to that, this place could connect to that, and kind of brought it together that way.
Yeah, and I thought the saga was a great choice for a starter, because like everybody's going to see that eventually, but not immediately. So if you're just trying to find the secrets right away, you're not going to get it. But like, as long as you just play the content, you're gonna see it, and I think that really did spark a huge jump in people participating, right? Because I wasn't even the first to post a thread, which is usually the case. You know, but this time, you know, spread throughout the Discords and everything else. Like, hey, like, what is this? Question mark. And then I got summoned. It was very fun. So huge fan of that.
Yeah. And the placement in the saga too meant you could see the riddle even if you weren't immediately ready to take that as your saga reward. You know, if you wanted to loop back around for it on another saga later, like you still had the information, you would just need to go back and actually get it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't even think of that. It's like, oh, if you're not really into the thing, you can still kind of skip it, but you can kind of see what's going on. That's a good point. I never really considered that, because obviously I took it right away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but some people are like, I just
it.
finished my saga, dang it, I want to like have my XP ready for my next life, or take it now, or take one of the artifacts in there, but like this thing is there with at least unknown purpose at the time, kind of putting that seed in your mind of there's something more to this thing.
All right, so speaking towards like the lore of it, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you can help me out. I know you're not necessarily the deep lore guy, but I figure you have to know at least a little.
Mhm.
So for those that don't know the story of PDO's version of Out of the Abyss, Terror of Demogorgon, which I still can't believe you guys fit as much into this expansion as you did story-wise. That
Mhm.
campaign's a monster.
It
Right?
is.
You know, you hit
Uh,
all of nearly every major plot point I can think of that I can recall. So like insane. But like so Lolth does a little manipulation of Gromf, okay, who summons the
yeah.
demon lords thinking he's going to get all sorts of power. That goes horribly wrong for him. He scatters off to places unknown. Well, and Lolth is going to do something with the Abyss. We don't really know that story that, I guess. But of the demon lords summoned, apparently Jubilex was not one of them, if I'm following the story correctly.
Yeah.
Which plays into the, if it wasn't for Bad Luck quest, where they're trying to summon him by himself, or was that a like what? So you're nodding your head like that I'm
Well,
correct. So I'm do I have
so
that right?
some of the, we would have of course loved to have like every one of the demon lords in this expansion pack, but ultimately, you know, production concerns come down, and some of these demon lords are harder to build than others, um, and some of them we already had, like Zuget Moy and Grazit. So it came in kind of as we were getting all the content plans and the art plans, the animation plans shaped up, that Jubilex wasn't going to appear in full form in here, and I was like, that's unfortunate, because you know, Jubilex is a lot of fun, I think, as a foil. We get a little of the Lolth machinations just in that that part of the story touches Drow a lot. Um, so I had also wanted to just kind of work in things that Jubilex could have been working on in the background while the rest of the story is going on, and that's sort of this, uh, you know, what we'll get to when we talk toward the end of the thing, but an altar in plain sight of everything that's going on.
Yeah, so neat. And then there's like this little subplot with Muck. So like one of the clues was on Muck's Ascension, which is like this
Yes.
twisted version of all of these Muck dooms and Muck's was it obliteration or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is the flip. It's like Jubilex is gonna come in and flip the script on Muck's destiny, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
really neat, because like I was always wondered if like Muck was the original avatar of Jubilex in the pit, which was one of the
Ooh.
encounters, or my
Hmm.
headcanon is that it's not, but the one we see in the Fetid Wedding is. Now that Jubilex is like touched Muck with his magic or whatever.
That's possible. I was not involved in the original lore for Muck, so I can't really say for sure on a like deeply canon level. Um, but I'd like to think that in a similar way that you had the Spinner of Shadows as a version of Lolth and Eberron, um, thinking of Jubilex in Eberron, um, might have an association and some connections loosely through the planes. Not a story we've told or have on the books, but I think it's an interesting thought to have, that there may just be a connection between the two.
I mean, it's like I said, it's already my headcanon, so we'll just see if it becomes official or not. I because it's always been interesting, because Muck has been around since like the beginning of DDO,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, Dirk's got a secret. Was one of the first most famous bosses I think we've ever had, to be honest with you. Even more
Yeah.
so than you know, the Storm Reaver at the time, right? You'd have like Jacoby Drexelhand and Muck were like the first two guys that you meet that like constantly get repeated. throughout DDo's history, and then like muck through like flavor text of different items. Like why it's in kind of a big deal, I don't know. That is a mystery I'd love to solve one day. So if you could point me in the direction of like who knows that information, maybe we'll have them on for a stream one day and we'll just talk lore.
Yeah, Knockback would probably know more than anybody else about that.
All right. Well, all right. So Knockback and Fuzzy Firewood, those are two pending people that we have on the stream here. We'll see if we can get them on if they're willing to talk to us. But in any case, I'll circle back to the actual secrets itself. We took out some of the favorite locations. Was there, I mean, I know you wanted just big ooze encounters. Was there any rhyme or reason behind the ones that you did end up picking?
So I knew I wanted to touch the Underdark, which I know you want to come back to in a little bit, because it's a place that doesn't get played very often. I knew I wanted to do the Living Water in Temple of Elemental Evil because I built that one.
Okay, cool.
But the others were just me looking at what could make a good rhyme and what kind of fit into sort of the paradigm of what we were doing here. I wanted to touch on some classic dungeons, touch on some offbeat ones. Yeah.
All right. So, then I guess we'll get to the Underdark, man. Sure. For those of you who don't know, I was pretty early on in the Underdark guest train. That's where, you know, especially after we exhausted all the other like possible known ooze quests that like even remotely could fit that clue. Like, all right, once we went through those, it's like, all right, it's got to be the Underdark, but like, where? So I first thought, man, it's going to be that dragon. You know, there is a demon lord in the Underdark that you can fight. And I thought, oh, that's got to be it. No, it wasn't that one. I was like, all right, don't tell me we got to start searching around all over this place. So he's off and on for a couple days. I think I total the number I keep saying is 9 hours, but who knows if that's actually true. But so close. In fact, you were even popping in the stream at one point. And I'm like, I straight out flat asked you, and then you went totally silent. And I'm like, no.
I could not tell at the time. You know, you all were getting on the right track slowly. But no, that was fun. So yeah, the Underdark I knew I wanted to choose because it was thematically related to this expansion.
I think it's a great callback, honestly.
Yeah, it's such a huge area that sees relatively little play, and I'd love to fix that like in the future at some point, but for now is like putting something in there where they need to explore the Underdark just seems good. And there's so many kind of nooks and crannies that I picked. You know, the one that I thought people were least likely to just stumble upon, which is just this pair of rest shrines in the very north center of the map. Unless you're just seeking out rest shrines, there's not a whole lot of reason to go up there. It's not really on a path to anything. And then I did add slimes that weren't there before so that you would be fighting slimes. But that was meant to be, you know, the deepest and hardest one to find.
No, I mean, it was well placed. So what was it like for you all sitting on the other side of the screen, you know, just watching us struggle to scour the Underdark?
So, you know, people were questioning kind of once you'd started to exhaust a lot of options, you know, is this thing maybe bugged? Maybe it's not on the servers yet. So at that point, I went into live and just tracked the thing down myself. And my kid was hanging out with me, and she was really excited about this hidden thing. So later we were watching your stream and a couple other streams of people looking at the Underdark for this. And by then, like, she knew where on the map it was, and she was watching with me. And every time any of you would get super close, she'd get really excited. And then somebody would take a left turn when they needed to go straight, and we were just screaming at the screen together. It was really fun.
Awesome, man. Yeah, if we didn't get distracted by the Mux Ascension, I think we probably would have found it for you too. But
yeah, the
brought
Mux
that up. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, ultimately the riddle on the transformed one of that was supposed to point you at the existence of the crafting altar, which we'll kind of assume we'll get back around to at the end. But I was just doing flavor text, and I'm like, it would be good to just kind of name drop this thing that they probably haven't found before they see this. because that will kind of set in a direction of, oh, there's something else we need to be looking for too.
Yeah, because that's it's funny too, because typically, especially back in the earlier days, Isle of Dread, and even before, and especially after, I was like sifting through. I would at least try to sift through all of the flavor text just to see if you guys ever would bury a clue there. And this is the one time I didn't, because we had the riddle and we're so focused on the riddle, I did not get a chance to flip through the flavor text, because we were like, we got all these lists of quests, we know what we're looking for. Like, no, should have looked there. But like, it was, because that was always a question. It was like, oh, what's like, once we find this thing, what's the payoff? So like, either the last thing we're missing is going to tell us, or there's a clue we're missing somewhere. And then, lo and behold, Monks Ascension showed up. So we had to completely derail the stream, head there, go get one of those, and then play with that for a little bit to see if we could get the sealed altar to show up. Because like, man, because it's funny too, calling it the sealed altar, let me tell you, my brain hurt. Because I'm thinking, because we have so many altars and so many seals in this game. How is nothing called the sealed altar? Like I thought for sure that existed in the game already, and I just forgot where it was.
We do have a lot of seals and a lot of altars. It's two of those terms that I wish just the English language had a few more words for.
Oh man, that was so good. Like, how is there not one thing? But lo and behold. And what kills me too, because like maybe I'll tell that story after. Because after we finally got the 6th globe, we pieced them together. We take the top half and the bottom half and the emblem with just the word praise on it, which is starting to become a meme of its own right now, which is very funny to me. My little globe of slime pet right now is called Praise, just because it's excellent. Like it's thematically appropriate.
So the one thing I want to say on that note, it got sussed out pretty quickly, but I very intentionally put into data 4 more slime globes and a middle of the slime crest that can't be obtained, just to throw off data miners.
Dude! Amazing! Okay, because obviously there was that question, right?
Yeah.
The DDO Wiki actually posted them, and I was like, huh, what are these? But like, there's clearly only 6. So, like, they just have to be cut content. Like, absolutely. Yeah. But to go in there to throw off the data miners, pro move, dude, I'd fist bump you if you were physically with me right now, but that's pretty good.
It was one of those I was putting together. I'm like, I'm going to make more than I need. I'm going to put them in data. And that way, if they are just coming at this whole thing from the angle of just scraping the data, they're going to see a few things that don't quite line up. Now, they did figure it out because they were able to kind of parse that there weren't like appropriate icons for the other 4 and things like that. They weren't fully fleshed out. But yeah, the whole point of having those in the data was just to kind of add a little road bump.
Well played, sir. Well played. I mean, personally, I don't have anything against people who data mine. I know why that they're doing it, right? They're trying to make the wiki better and stuff like that. And one of the byproducts is that those people figure out secrets way before, and it does kind of spoil the experience of us trying to find it on its own. So like having some guard against that is definitely a pro move that I'm sure a lot of us appreciate. So thanks for that.
There's quite a few things that we just simply can't hide from data miners just by nature. And it's a bummer kind of when it gets out, some of that stuff gets out in unintended ways, because like as a designer, like I want people to see the finished products when they're ready in the way they were meant to be introduced. Yeah. So, I understand why people do it, but like I also just on an artistic level love it when people can find out things the way they're supposed to.
Because let me tell you this. I mean, I will reiterate. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more. Like, this secret hunt was extremely fun. Going through trying to figure out the different locations, which happened fairly quickly, at least most of them. But the hunt, and then the ascension, and the finding in the saga, like it was, like it didn't end immediately, which is I know appreciative to some people, because like a lot of people, like everybody felt like they were involved. Right, like they could quickly climb the globes. There wasn't like a time gate with the steps one where like they had to, catch up. They could never catch up. Right, everybody could catch up immediately if they put in the time. and just everybody felt really engaged, and so it was just adrenaline pumping the whole time, and it was very extremely fun. To hear
that was a lot of the hope too in the setup. Like I knew going in with this one, unlike the steps one, this could get solved in a few hours or a few days or a few weeks. And my hope is that it wouldn't get solved in a few hours, but that it would go on kind of long enough for people to get involved and have some fun with it, but not stretch on so long that it kind of became miserable,
Yeah, which I think that was my guess too, is the one of the numerous reasons why you picked the Underdark location that you did, was like, listen, this is going to be way out of the way. No one's going to find this immediately, right? Like, who's looking here? Right?
I wanted one that no one was going to trip over by accident.
Yeah. I love that, man. It's so good. What was I going to say before this, though? Because that was an amazing tangent.
We were talking about
taking the emblems. The altar. Yes. I was going to tell the story about the altar. Yes. So it was kind of funny because it was Saturday morning. I just done 11-hour stream, mostly searching the Underdark for this global sign. We finally got it. Like, all right, where do we find the altar? But like, it's 5 a.m. I gotta pass out.
Yeah.
In fact, I even stayed up like an hour more, just updating the forum pages. So I didn't fall asleep till like 6 a.m. And like, I had my cousin's birthday party. Like, oh man, I was so exhausted. But it was funny too. Like I went out, I got my my special goggles with the correct effect that was working. I have my Mux Ascension in my hand, and I'm just I have a few hours before I gotta leave. So like, let me just take a look around Raven Hollow, right? To see if I can find this altar. Maybe like, if I have all of this stuff, I've got my emblem, maybe now it'll just reveal itself. Like, and I literally ended my search at the crystal, just a little bit too far back, and I went to go take a shower, and then I left. So like, and I went to go take a shower, and I came back. So I even had the game running, so I would have been standing there long enough, but I was just a little bit too far back to notice where that altar was going to be. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I can't be this close twice in a row. Yeah, but lo and behold, so like I go, head out to the party, right? Having a good time. But I start feeling miserable because I'm obviously on like 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So all right. So I'm gonna leave the party a little early, on my way home, and then I start getting the messages that you had posted on your Twitch profile a video, and I'm like, what is this? So I'm driving home. It takes me about an hour to get home. So I'm like, okay, well, what is this? So I'm trying to listen to it in the car. I can't hear a darn thing with all the traffic going on. So people are trying to translate it for me to get stuff going on. So I'm just trying to fly home to see if I can get back on stream to go find it and listen to this video live. Lo and behold, it would end up being found before I ended up getting home. But I really wanted to ask you about, was that planned? Was that video always a part of that? Or what? How did that come to be? Because it was tremendous.
That came to be just a few hours before it went up. If I think it was a Saturday morning, if I'm remembering correctly, the Saturday after the X launch. And I knew you all had found the globes of slime. And I know you had all put in a lot of kind of sleepless nights and a ton of effort to get this far. And so I wanted to put together another clue just in case this, again, turned that corner from really fun to deeply frustrating. And so I was talking at home about wanting to make this maybe a video clue. And my daughter, again, who had been watching the streams with me, insisted she wanted to help. So I came up with this second poem on the fly to kind of represent finding the altar in the public space. Wrote it up, and she came down to this office with me, recorded these lines, and then I kind of put it together with some quick, free soundscapes and whatnot, and had it ready to go. And by the time, we were done and we had kind of headed out to what we were going to do that day, it seemed really clear that people were really close already. And I suspected people were going to find it within a matter of hours. So I said, you know what, let's just release that clue because I'd rather have it get out there for people to experience than post it after they've already found it.
Yeah, totally fair. So I'm sure people were really close, and I, I was, as tired as I was probably gonna begin my search again, doing another loop.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that there was a key clue in there telling us to be patient.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the big key, because like, all right, I had a few spots. Like I was like 90% sure it was going to end up being in Graven Hollow. But I thought, all right, but it could be the Dark Lake. And there's that one weird chest that nobody could unlock out in the Fetid Wedding. Like, so maybe there, and there was maybe a couple other like really out there guesses, but like, man, like we were going to be hunting real close. But for me to stand in one spot for 30 seconds.
So yeah, that crafting device, right? I came into that knowing I wanted to hide something in plain sight, but not use the same kind of goggle. You can only see it if you've got this thing.
Which
that we did in the secret
really?
hunt.
Okay, because I thought for sure that was going to be it. I'm going to interrupt you for a half a second. Because those the goggles are super cool. I wear them just all the time now, just because again, it's on brand color scheme wise for me, right? So like.
Yeah,
it was really good. I thought for sure, like, you're gonna make these special set of goggles that have this cool overlay, and it's for ooze, and you're telling me it's not a part of the secret. Like was that always meant to be a red herring? Like, how did this even come to be, honestly, my guy?
Those goggles came before the entire secret hunt even started.
Because right, they would on land.
They were on Lamania.
Yeah.
And those had just started with, I had planned out items, related to all the demon lords, whether they were making an appearance in the expansion or not. And I had worked with one of the artists and said, hey, I have these goggles called Jelly Sight. What if we, made it so that it really kind of distorted the vision a little bit with some green in like a fun way and hopefully a not too burdensome way, but I gave it an extra effect just for kind of dealing with the slight waveriness. You should have seen some of the early prototypes I did with it where things got incredibly distorted. It was like, I this is fun, but I can't play the game like this.
Man, too bad. If you still have those old versions, we'd love to see a clip of that. Just an
I
FYI.
don't think I ever took a clip because it's while I was editing the goggles themselves, but I might be able to scrap something together sometime that was similar to what it was.
Cool.
But then when I got around to doing the secret hunt, I was like, well, maybe I can involve these. But then I thought about the goggles were a key to the steps one, and I don't want to do the same thing, especially twice in a row, more or less.
I mean, you had a couple years buffer. I think you could have got away with it.
Yeah. Well, then I decided like they're much kind of more interesting to this whole process as a red herring. So I'm like, you know what? They're probably going to take it as one, and I'm going to let that happen.
Sorry, they're still super cool goggles. I'll forgive you.
I like them a lot too. I'm gonna track them down for my own builds shortly.
Nice, dude. All right, so before I interrupted you, we're searching up for the order. You wanted to have something in plain sight. And I think that's where I cut you off.
So I made this tiny little crafting altar. And I wasn't going to get art for it because the time frame involved. We were getting very close to pulling the release build, and I needed to finish up this secret hunt. So I'm like, okay, well, I can paint it green. It's going to sit in these green lights way in the back. And the way it's rigged up is it's, untargetable, untouchable until anybody in the public space stays within its very small bounds for more than 6 seconds. So it doesn't take long for it to pop up, but somebody has to be very close to it in a way that, like, just looking at the deco, you kind of wouldn't trip over it necessarily. And then as soon as there are no people near it, it goes back to just being deco. It turns off. There was always the possibility that people would stumble on it first, which is why if you do touch it and you don't have the slime emblem, it just tells you you're unworthy and unprepared without giving you any other information. So like if you somehow found this before any of the other clues were found, you'd be like, well, I found this weird thing, but I can't do anything with it. And then you would start looking for the other parts.
Makes sense. Yusukai from chat, or Waisukai, excuse me, I keep pronouncing his name incorrectly because his name is spelled weird. Just kidding. Is this like now, is there plans to like make it always visible now that it's been found, or would you rather keep it hidden as part of this secret forever?
I'd rather keep it hidden. It'll be there for people in the know. And, I like having kind of a few interesting things that are passed around through kind of oral tradition among players. And I suspect DDO Wiki and other sites that catalog this sort of information will have that available too. But it's nice to have, even though you weren't there at the time, you can have a guildie that's like, hey, there's these cool weapons, but you gotta go through the steps to find them. Let's go through that together, and you can see how cool this is.
And I think that's also part of the genius about having it in the saga rewards too. The main start of the riddle. It's like everybody's gonna see that as long as you play the content.
Yeah.
So like no matter 10 years down the line, right? People are gonna come across that and go, "The heck's this?" And then that'll spark a whole new hunt just for them, where they, granted they'll have an easier time if they do a Google search, but
Yeah.
it's
But it's still
I
a
think
cool
it's kind of
hunt
neat
even
to
if
have
they
it like
do
that.
look it
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
exactly. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
Let's see.
a popular question, I'll also pull it from Twitch chat, but it's one that I had as well, was why bound to character? Like what's, and a broader question is, what helps you decide what is bound to character versus bound to account? That is a question that pops up a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this update, or this expansion pack, the loot structure was a little bit different than in a lot of the previous ones. In the last bunch of expansion packs, we've had a pretty clear delineation between quest loot, which is usually bound to account, and raid loot, which is more powerful and usually bound to character. And in this particular expansion, we have two different sets of loot kind of sitting in between those spaces. The first of which is the crafted catalyst loot. And that loot remained bound to account, but its power is a lot closer to raid loot. It's not quite raid loot in a couple of different statting ways, but it's closer. And then you have these weapons, which are statted almost identically to raid loot, despite not coming from a raid. And so we kind of made the decision, the rest of the pieces from this are going to be bound to account, so you can pass the slime emblem around. It was bound to character on release, sort of by accident, but we fixed that as soon as we could.
Way it is intended.
And yeah, so you're able to pass around to your other characters, but given its status as raid loot, we wanted it leans a little more toward raid loot than quest loot, so we wanted to make those bound.
Fair enough. Since we're on a roll here, this is actually a good time to jump at this question from Valkyria. On the emblem, speaking of that, you have the word praise. Is that a reference to something? Where is there a story behind that at all?
I think I just leaned in on it between kind of reading a bunch about Jubilex and like various cultists that followed, and kind of the little bit I was doing with the poems involved, where they felt a little storybooky, but also a little religious culty. And I also didn't want to do flavor text that, if it got data mined, would kind of give the whole game away.
Fair.
So kind of just using the praise thing as a connection to the cultist and religious angle, and his status as a demon prince, and not wanting data mining to tell too much about what they were looking at, all came together to just this praise.
All right, I kind of like it. I still like it. Just, as I said, it feels very memey. So, I mean, I guess apparently it's a thing in Dark Souls. I've never played Dark Souls. I'm not sure if you've ever have. It's very popular.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit? That's cool.
Yeah, I've played more Elden Ring than Dark Souls, but yeah, I get the concept.
Fair enough. Yeah, same stuff, more or less. All right, so we had the video on Saturday, which was fantastic. We've discovered the thing. We put it all together. We got the oozes, which are, it was really fun to. I believe we discovered all of the different effects that you could put on stuff. I guess that was kind of it, man. And then
Yeah.
do we want to?
So
All right. Any
let's
other
see.
stories you have about this that I may have skipped, not thinking about it? So we talked about Monk's Ascension. We talked about
Yes.
Praise. We talked about yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So uh, I kind of wish I could have included a few more places to hunt for stuff. It would have made the hunt longer. But as you guys were going through all the various dungeons and locations that could include oozes, I was definitely going, oh man, I wish I had included one there, because that would have been a really fun place to put it. And some of that came down to time, because I very much did this in the extra time I had and a few extra nights here and there, to try and get it all in ship shape in time. So it would have been fun to extend it out a little longer. I think have a few more locations you needed to find to get some of this stuff. Like I said early on, the weapons were originally meant for a couple of pieces in the raid, which I've now had to pivot slightly on, because I used the whole weapon suite for the secret hunt. But I think I can safely say ahead of time that the raid is going to have an orb in the same shader that matches those weapons, a rune arm that matches those weapons, and a trio of weapons that are in that same kind of vein but a different color. So they're not exactly the same visual as the ones you can already get.
Interesting. But yeah, slime rune arm is gonna look sick, I bet.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm looking forward to that one. I do still have an artificer. I would say I have an artificer alt. It's like I was on an artificer build for a while, but I got off of it. But I do have an alt still, so that's gonna look sweet. Can't wait to deck it out in the new cosmetics, man.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Still satting it out, but I think it's gonna be a fun one.
Man, I want to ask all the details about the raid, because we're gonna get the alternate ending where we actually get to fight the because like the initial guesses were like, oh, we're gonna fight Jubilex, right? We're gonna fight Lulth, then when Jubilex the secret came out, I was like, oh, we're definitely fighting Jubilex now, or he's gonna be involved somehow, right? Oh, the theory train went wild there for a couple weeks.
Yeah, sadly, I think I can deconfirm Jubilex's presence in the raid. I would love to have content where you go toe to toe, such as Jubilex has toes, in a raid with Jubilex, but it is kind of a more expensive monster to make, because the various art, they're not a straightforward slime or a gelatinous cube. They are kind of a writhing mass of jelly and gross muck, and that's a little bit harder to pull off on the animation end, but I bet we will someday.
Oh man, fingers crossed, because a really cool Jubilex would be really neat to see in DDO. Because like the art for him is always insane, right? His red eyes, and he's got writhing mass everywhere, so it's kind of wild, depending on what depiction you're looking at. Glamoring rune arms, right? We still can't glamour the rune arms, can we?
Oh no. Yeah, I don't think we can. I would love to get that. I don't think it's on the immediate radar. I would love to just take a couple of days, slip that right in, but I don't think I have the open cycles for that right now. I'm working on the raid currently, and then I believe we'd already announced that we're doing some balance things for this fall, and I've got a pretty good list for those that I can't talk about yet.
Oh, of course, yeah, no, balance thing is going to be a thing for sure, I imagine. Balance was announced. The raid alternate ending was announced at Gen Con, and then the UI scaling was a thing.
UI scaling. So excited for UI scaling.
And then yes, the perfect segue into Jimothy. How involved were you in that fun little hunt? You're the right person to ask.
Yes, I am. I didn't put the hunt together, but seeding the idea of getting Jimothy into DDO at all, I think came from me. It may have come from a couple of independent sources within the team around the same time. But I had been talking to the same artists that helped out with the ooze weapons, and saying, hey, this raccoon is funny, and it would be fun to do a pet. and we started talking about, just kind of daydreaming how we would put that together. And then it started to gain traction, and we had talked to other people about it, and other people were talking about it, and it all kind of came together very quickly, especially once Wizards of the Coast themselves put out a Jimothy stat block. We're like, well, he's canon now. We can't not do it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm just impressed, right? I mean, we had an interview, and in no time at all, you added an entire new feature to the expansion. And then between that releasing, which, I mean, obviously you're in some level of hypercare, right? Where you're just like, all right, just quick fix all these bugs. But somehow you're still also able to turn around, just do this fun little thing and have it ready for Gen Con, which happens like 2 weeks after the content launches. Yeah, absolutely insane and super appreciated. You guys have been on fire. Like, let's be real here.
We've been working real hard at it, and like hoping to keep a lot of that momentum up into the upcoming updates too.
Then I'm going to be a very busy person. I need to quit my day job to keep up with you guys. Holy smokes. But yeah, no, again, the feedback that I want to provide on behalf of myself and everyone that I know is I think we love the fact that you just did the Jimothy thing. Whether you like Jimothy or not, or you care about memes or whatever, it doesn't matter. But just because it's like, oh, on a whim, let's do a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's just fun. Pure joy, right? I love it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And it's that kind of fun little stuff that, I like about working on this game. I like a lot of things about working on this game, but that we can see something that we want to do and that we think the players are going to enjoy, and kind of turn it around quickly together as a team to do just something fun. At the end of the day, it's a game, right? We want to have fun.
Yeah, and putting in that level, like, it helps us connect with you guys, gives me a huge reason to invite you guys onto the show, which, I mean, I want to do anyway, but giving a topic to talk about is even better. But yeah, I think it's a great way to bridge, well, a lot of things, and just makes the game more interesting and fun, and feels more alive is the common theme that keeps coming up in our conversations, right? Is just it feels much more involved, which is very fun.
Yeah, and that comes back to what we were talking about earlier, where somebody down the line, when Jimothy is no longer a meme in the general sphere of the internet, someone's gonna play the Catastrophe Dungeon, find this guy, and get this like silly little pet, and go, I don't know what this is, but it's fun. And again, I feel like that kind of comes back to just kind of the joy of this stuff existing in as big a game as DDO is, and kind of connects back to pen and paper dungeon crawling, where you look in the right corners and you find something you never expected to find.
Absolutely. It's like you guys are really playing the role of the DM and just I saw this fun meme on the internet, let's make it a cryptid and put it in the game, and we're gonna encounter and just have this weird little encounter. Like, it's just fun. It definitely harkens or pulls on those same threads that you feel, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great, man. Tell you what. But one question I'll go from here from chat here is Osake 2000 is talking about hand wraps with the ooze effect. Is that, I know that wasn't one of the ones you just mentioned, and I know graphics on hand wraps have been like a thing, right?
I would love to get it, because it's kind of a bummer that they all have these cool appearances but hand wraps don't. I don't have a nice way to do it right now, because the visuals for when we have done visuals for hand wraps, it is typically run something on the player that attaches something to the player's hands, and I can't just grab this shader they did and do that super easily. So I'd have to see if any artists have spare cycles to do something more custom, and they are probably a little too tight on time to do it shortly. Something I'm going to think about down the line when we do future versions of stuff like this, though.
Fair enough. I mean, that's all we can ask for, right? It's just because I know that's something that's come up more than once a few times. Because like people love the cosmetics, right, from top to bottom, and when something cools out, there's always somebody left out, right? Like, we don't have a version of like can we get a bear covered in ooze, right? Like, I think that'd be really funny.
Oh, the ooze bear.
But yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. but yeah, more Grease cosmetics in general. Put it on our Christmas wish list, man.
Yeah.
So I'm not biased or anything. Shush. No, all the doubters. That's all right, man. But yeah, cool, man. We talked about Jimothy. We talked about all of the future stuff coming up that we're allowed to talk about. Hopefully, we'll get to see. We're hoping by the end of the month. I think somebody said Lamania for raid. I'm not sure how true that is. I could be lying on that.
Accurate.
Don't take that for. Yeah, and then we still have Quest 13 to arrive at some point.
Yeah, that's coming pretty shortly. I can't give a date on that if it doesn't already exist, but like I believe it's coming before the raid and pretty soon. So
yeah, we're looking forward to that, because this expansion's already been an absolute knockout for me, home run. And the fact that we get more of it still is just it's exciting. I promised myself I wasn't going to make any major changes to my build until I see the raids. That way, because I'm just not going to have the time. Meanwhile, here I am playing at work, sneaking in, doing a quest or two, on my lunch break, and oh, okay. Apparently I'm having way too much fun, right? So
yeah, talking to people at Gen Con, it seemed like this expansion pack really resonated with a lot of people. So I'm hoping that we can, move forward and identify the things that people really liked most about this X pack and keep doing them,
Yeah, you guys are definitely on a really cool track right now. So I'm excited to see whatever comes next. Awesome. But as we almost hit my target hour time with you, is there any other last minute parting questions here or stories that you'd like to share? Otherwise, I'll open it up to see if anybody has any more questions from the chat.
Let's go for chat questions. I'll think about
chat questions. Sounds good. So if you're in chat right now, if you got any questions to talk about our secret hunts, or I guess items in general, our systems guy is on with us right now. Why Jubilex instead of Gondar? Or not Gondar. Gondar or Gondar?
I think that's because we knew much earlier on that we weren't going to include them in this X pack, whereas kind of early drafts we had Jubilex involved, and then as it kept on, there was still content related to Jubilex, even if they weren't showing up in person. The same way that Lulth doesn't show up in person in this X pack, but there's quite a few, fingerprints of Lulth around between items and quests. So some of it is just keeping the scope of the expansion narrow to the things that we're actually touching.
I think you hit all the major points, but yeah, there's a lot more demon lords, like Orcus. I know is another one people are really hoping to show up. I assume Orcus is also another model thing restriction that you guys maybe ran into.
Yeah, I also would have loved to get Orcus, and I think there were plans to early on. I think I can also drop one of the things that you can pull from this upcoming raid is an Echo of the Wand of Orcus, and it looks sick.
Ooh. Oh man, we are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that's going to do in DDO. Oh my gosh.
Still working on the stats. I got a little more time before Lamania, but yeah.
But the theory engines. Very interesting. But yeah, you kind of open up Pandora's box a little bit. Because people are hoping to see Dritz and all these other demon lords that really didn't get a chance, and then there's a lot more D&D lore that I don't know myself. I just know that there's a lot that's tangentially attached to this. I still can't believe you guys got this whole thing done in one expansion. I thought for sure this was going to be a two-parter. My guess was going to be, we're going to have a mini expansion next year is typically the cadence, and we were going to get part 2. And that's when we were going to see the actual endings. But this one's so jam-packed. And it's done so well.
Thank you.
But you guys really opened up a lot of threads.
I'd love to see us in the future kind of revisit this space too with some more content, even if it's not another full expansion, just to touch on more of the kind of demon lords we didn't get to do a whole lot with here.
I can always give you guys something in a back pocket, right? I figure there's got to be some conscious decision where all right, we've got a ton of demon lords in this one, but we have a lot of big names left for even future. We still have 4 more levels to gain, right? It's you got to leave something, and it makes sense. I love that you're bringing Lolth back. I love it when enemies return for some reason. I don't know why I love that so much.
It was nice
But,
getting to play in a Drow Lolth
I
space
do.
in the Forgotten Realms for the first time in a long time. One of the, I want to say it was one of the long swords in this expansion pack. I'd have to double check that. It's the one that is a Drow-based one that has a big spider on it. That was a sword made for Menace of the Underdark, and it just didn't get used by whoever was doing loot at the time.
That's cool.
And so when we were making this one, I've had that spider sword in the back of my mind for 14 years now, being like, we never used it. I want to use it. And there are a couple places we could have, but it never quite fit the bill. So it's when I knew we were going, briefly to Menzoberranzan, doing things with the Drow in the Forgotten Realms Underdark, I was like, it's time. We're using the couple of Drow themed assets that we have that never got used for MO2, so they can finally be out there and players can get them.
All right, so my follow-up question to that, man, is do you have this treasure trove of weapon assets that you've never quite got to use that are just waiting for the right time?
I have just about exhausted that pile at this point. One of the other ones that was stuck in the back of my mind for a long time was another longsword, a green dragon one that was also made for MO2. But we got to use that in the pack that we did recently in Eberron with the chromatic dragons. So that was one where I was like, okay, we have a green dragon dungeon. I'm going to get this sword out there.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love that stuff, man. I love that behind the scenes stuff. There was a part of me was wondering, because in that one quest where you have the market, where you have a bunch of assets all over the place. And I thought, man, what if you put some of those in there as spoilers for the future and stuff? I've yet to deep dive on that quest. That'll probably be a whole stream by itself at some point, but trying to identify all the different weapons assets that you guys have stirred about.
Yeah,
but,
there's a lot. And beyond that, there are definitely some, armor, helmet, and cloak sets that we've done for expansions, but we've only done in 2 colors, and it's been very difficult to sometimes settle on a color scheme for these, because we often have, there's about 5 colors that this one would look good in. So I try to find places to put some of those. You've seen some of them pop up in either event loot or when we did the Dino Crisis dungeon, I used the Isle of Dread armor pieces in a new color. Also, just this year, as we've been doing, DDO's anniversary, between the anniversary event at the start of the year, where you got some brand new twists on existing items, and the brand new twists on existing items we did in this expansion, that all is kind of related to this anniversary year and looking back into DDO's past at some classic stuff and putting a new spin on it.
Which I personally love. I love it. Every time you guys do that. I enjoy it, because I mean, I know there's a lot of other people out there too. It's like, man, if I had this graphic but in this color, people always want more colors of Reaper wings and only more colors of this cloak or whatever, right? But so it's always good you guys find time to. It's got to save you a little bit of time on asset, right? You just tweak a color and here you go. Here's a brand new item.
Exactly. And it's tough because sometimes the ones for the expansion packs are sometimes so keyed to that expansion that it's hard to use them in other things. I can't just drag out a Sharn look for a Forgotten Realms pack, But yeah, I try to find them where I can, just because there's a lot of different people's preferences on colors, and having more options, I think, is good.
I think that harkens back to why I loved Fate Twisted Test so much. The Fate Twisted loot you guys did, that was that blew my mind. I loved it so much. Just because all right, here's not only items that you love, but here's the twisted version with a slightly different graphic, and then plus it works with the new stuff. It was great. I just love that stuff.
Yeah. So I think in the future we're probably going to try to keep up systems like that. I can't say necessarily for every expansion, but I think especially when it came to this update where the rare loot list was the catalysts you needed to transform the items, I think people responded pretty well to that. So we may keep that up, and that the items you get as a result are a little bit stronger, because you have to not only find the catalyst but also get a classic item to make it into a stronger than average version.
Which I've been like rare loot hurt my soul. I will be honest with you. It was not a good time for me. You guys have walked back on that a little bit since when that was first introduced. It's still rare, but not, you know, as painfully as rare. But I do like that. I think this is my favorite iteration of rare stuff that we've gotten so far. And cool. I've already exclaimed already, I love the harken back stuff. And when we're able to bring back old items and make them reusable, gets you to explore old content and new stuff in new and fun ways. I think that's just like you're using your history to your advantage. You're talking about the 21st anniversary. It's completely synergistic. And it's all playing really well together.
Good.
But the question that I'm not leading to, but I'm going to ask anyway, because you reminded me of it, was because we have two different types of catalysts.
Yeah.
Why? Is there a lore reason, or is it like were they meant to be different rarities, or like what?
No. One is drow stuff and one's demon stuff.
so it's theme. Okay.
It's just theme. Where just I realized when I put this list together, it was a mix of drow and demon stuff on the other end. And so I'm like, okay, well, they don't quite fit under the same umbrella, you know, if they're doing the same thing. So they're just named slightly differently. So you can tell if what you're making is a more abyss related thing or a more drow related thing.
Yeah, I did not catch that, so I appreciate you on that one. I was like, I couldn't figure it out. Not that I looked that hard, obviously, but it makes total sense now that you say it. Oh, that's so silly. Yeah. All right. Or I feel so silly, rather. Let's see here. Let me read back through chest here. Why was the gnome story replaced with Dino Crisis in the first place? Am I confused? What is the Dino Crisis?
Dino Crisis is a mid-epics dungeon. Forgive me as I like wiki our own game. I forget exactly when we released it, but I think it was about... I think what they might be talking about is when we sunsetted Larcener. Memoirs of an Illusory Larcener.
Oh, that's
and put Dino Crisis in its place as a free-to-play dungeon at the same levels.
Yeah, okay. Now I remember.
The thing with Larcener is Memoirs of an Illusory Larcener was an experiment to see if we could construct dungeons in a different way. So it was built in a very different way from the way we built any other dungeon in DDO. And it was a very interesting experiment where the ultimate answer was, no, we can't build them that way, because it caused significant pathing problems, significant ways for players to get stuck in ways that sometimes required customer service intervention, and performance problems that affected the rest of the server. On top of that, the loop was really good, so people were inclined to play it a lot. And all of these things were creating a storm that when we kind of were getting down into the nitty-gritty of performance problems, we were like, this quest might just have to go. So we took that loot, we put it in another dungeon, we created some new dungeons to fit in that same level space, so there could be something extremely similar for the leveling curve there. And that's ultimately why we did that.
Yeah, this must have been happened while I was on my little hiatus there for a little bit, because I don't have any memory of this quest whatsoever. So
yeah,
guess what we're doing next week, guys?
Yeah, go play Dinosaur Crisis. It's literally
Dinosaur Crisis.
You know, level 13 heroic, 28 epic. You just go beat up some dinosaurs.
Fantastic!
And there's some armor in there that's the Isle of Dread armor, but purple. There's if you're in epics, you can get solar and lunar augments that are epic statted there. And there's quite a few that drop in there.
All right, so a question. I'm gonna also grab another one from Weiserkai here. Talking about tokens of the 12. Is there any thoughts towards putting those into more quests, especially ones that are thematically in Eberron?
It's come up from time to time.
We haven't seen those in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's come up time to time. I don't think there's any plans for it right now. You know, those particular things are kind of a delicate balance for a number of reasons that go into departments that aren't mine. But it's something we definitely could consider, and it's been a little bit since we've talked about it. So I don't know, possible.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah, it's just something I haven't had to think about in a long time. So that's an interesting point. You're right. I haven't seen those in a long time, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So here, so if I scrape chat here for any additional questions, a lot of praising of the Dino Crisis quest, which was fun. Yeah. Shaders at the coffers, hoping to see shaders on cloaks at one point. So that's just more wish list items. All right. Any last minute questions here? Otherwise, I think we're near a wrap here, my guy.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that whenever we do these secret hunts, it's always a joy seeing the community come together to just dive in deep, find out what these things are, and seeing that whole process unfold is just excellent. I'm so glad that you and others really enjoy it when we do that kind of stuff, and I'm hoping to keep doing it in the future.
Yeah, we're here for it, man. We really, really appreciate it, especially all of your extra work that you put in. Special thanks and shout out to your daughter for also participating and giving us that video and hint. Super happy. Obviously, huge shout out to the art teams and those that supported you in getting not only the Global Science Secrets last minute into the expansion, but also the Jimothy turnaround. And a little addition to the game. Those were a lot of super a lot of fun. And thanks for coming on and talking about it again, man. Hopefully we get to have you on soon again.
Yeah. Would love to come on another time, talk about whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, man. It's stuff you do is super interesting. We're really going to look forward to the raid and the new quest coming out here, and it's right around the corner. So keep an eye out on the forums for official announcements for that, and or come back here. We'll talk about it the moment it comes live. So that's the whole thing. So once again, we'll let you sign off, my guy, and then thanks again.
All right. Thank you, and thanks everybody for coming out to chat.